little mini chit chat video. Welcome back to another little mini reaction video. Today I decided to just go ahead and sit and talk to you guys really quickly. I'm about to head out in about 20-25 minutes. So not a lot of time, but I did want to talk about this kind of newest update with the whole Epstein situation. Not necessarily all the stuff that's coming out now, just kind of like my personal opinion on like who he was and why he seems to have all these people in his little black book. Being that he was like a known sex offender and all of this stuff, why would he have access to like the top people who we consider, the 1%, the top, the wealthiest of the wealthiest? He moved in all circles internationally, and he just knew all these really rich people. So I watched a little bit of a biography on his life and everything, like where he came from. Like people feel like, he just kind of came out of nowhere and was like this, you know, um failed type of school teacher, and all of a sudden it's just boom, billionaire financier, all this money, power, access to wealthy people. Like what's that all about? A lot of people have different theories or conspiracy theories or whatever the case may be as to his background. Was he a spy? All this other stuff. There's even rumors about him still being alive, all that stuff, right? Um, all of that is considered conspiracy theory. Um, the government said he passed away in his cell. They showed us the body, all of that, right? Okay, so that's like, I leave that for other people to kind of delve into. My personal opinion on the situation is what we're here to talk about. So before we go ahead and get into today's topic, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Shout out to all of our Purple Heart members. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. For those of you who don't get a chance to catch this live, don't worry, you'll go ahead and catch it once it re-uploads to YouTube. I know for a lot of you, it'll be like a shock kind of seeing me here sitting talking to you guys, since I'm always like preferring to just do the blank screen and more of a narrator telling a story versus like kind of sit down face to face content. But like I said, this year we're doing a lot more of this. On my on not the main channel, but on the channel itself, I do have, this type of interaction um with the camera. But when I do go live, I do mostly like to just kind of sit in the dark, chill out, and just talk. But like I said, this year we are doing a lot more of the sit down live reactions. So here we go. As it pertains to the title of the video, my personal opinion about Epstein is that he was the plug. When I say he was the plug, like a lot of people who are urbanized will understand the terminology. Except we're not talking about narcotics, right? So not the plug, or we're not talking about, getting you the newest shoes or newest bag, or not in that type of way, obviously. When I say Jeffrey Epstein was the plug to the rich, I'm talking about he was able to provide the drug they need, um, for the people who are allegedly involved in this, sex trafficking, child abuse, sexual abuse of children, all of that, right? He was the plug. Obviously, we're starting to see that he had a client list, clearly. There are people who he provided access to these children on his island, at his penthouse, wherever they had their like the little get-togethers. That's why I say he was the plug. It's coming more and more as it comes out. There is no way that the whole theory that he acted alone, he was just this business guy that everybody kind of interacted with, and nobody knew, like, when he went home, he had like a Heckle and Jekyll and Hyde type of persona. No, it's coming out that this was known. and he moved in a circle of people who are willing participants in this type of lifestyle. I've been doing like a lot of research on this stuff because it really started to become like a serious interest for me because I was everything that was coming out was always about, the women and children, always with this obsession over the children. It just seemed like, what is the obsession with the kids? Let me look into that, delve into it a little bit deeper. And it's really, really scary. This is not about conspiracy theorists. This is not about this, that, and the third. This is about things are like lining up and making sense. Children going missing. Um, all these victims now coming forward. I watched an interview with Ann Lucas. I would suggest anybody who is interested in this particular topic watch her interviews where she exposes all these people that are part of the Belgium elite society that are involved in all of these horrific things that are being done to children. And it's not just about um, the sexual abuse aspect of it. It is more so about the other stuff that the children are being engaged in, right? The rituals and sacrifices, all that crazy stuff that these cults and groups believe in, all this stuff. It's not just, oh, children are being trafficked for, that. It's the other stuff. It's just a lot. Like, it's a lot. And I'm almost, in 2 years, I'm gonna be 50 years old. And I never, 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 ever, ever would have believed all this stuff. Everything that they try to brush over as conspiracy and craziness is all coming to fruition. That there's always a grain of truth in every conspiracy theory thought. There's always a grain of truth in everything, right? Um, I've talked about this on my channel before. The fact that I am a survivor of sexual abuse when I was the age between 9 and 10 years old in a government facility of all places, right? I know how evil humanity can get. Like, that's why I raised my daughter the way I raised her. Don't even call me helicopter mom. I'm just Air Force One with it, right? And my daughter's gonna be 20 this year. It's because I have seen the dark underbelly of humanity when it comes to sexualizing children. You understand? Like, there are people who are predators. They are predators that live amongst us, right? I've always been suspicious of people who work with children because that's where I experienced the darkness. So it always made me look at people in certain professions with a fine tooth comb. I don't care. It's all come to pass anyway. Coaches, scoutmasters, girl guide leaders, teachers, um, ride operators at Disney. It's always where the children are. As we learn about predators, right? Even in the wild, they go where the prey is. You'll never see a lion not following a herd of some particular prey. Why? Because it's easy prey. They're always going to be where the prey is. In the schools, in the after school program, sports program, behavioral correctional facilities, wherever children are, you're going to find these people that prey on children. That's something as an adult I had to kind of wrap my mind around and understand, like, this is what the world is. It's not a new phenomenon. This has been going on all the way back to biblical days. This has been going on, right? I think even as just as I am, a lot of people, we grew up where fact almost became fiction. We grew up in a generation where it's in the books, we heard about it, people talk about it. Yeah, maybe one and two people go through it, but it's not like it's not widespread. Now we're starting to realize this stuff is everywhere. It's in the government. It's everywhere humanity is. Like just because someone is a politician or a billionaire or whatever the case may be, it doesn't mean that they're exempt from being a pedophile, right? It's just what it is. So as this stuff comes out, it's looking more and more like Jeffrey Epstein knew his clients. He provided what they needed and what they wanted. Some of them were begging and clamoring. Like how a crackhead will call their dope dealer and be like, "Come on, man, just hook me up, till payday. I got you. I got." It was almost like, "Come on, let me come to the island. Let me come to the island. I want to come. Why can't I come? Send me an invite. Send me a helicopter. I want to come. I want to come." It's disgusting. These emails that are coming out is showing that this man did not act alone, and he was definitely the plug for the elite, and that's why he was killed in prison. That's my personal belief as an individual. I have the right to my personal belief. And I'm not the only one who actually believes that this guy was killed because, again, being the plug, he knows everybody's business. He has the goods on everyone. And of course, I immediately knew once he was arrested that he was gonna start blackmailing people. Obviously, you have all this information. That's why he kept records of everything so that in times of crisis, he know who to call, to lean on to get it done. A pardon, lower charge, no bail, get out of jail free card. He had all the information to make all of it happen. And behind the scenes, as it's showing from all of the legal documents, right? They knew about this guy for years and years. This is not something new. He has been bobbing and weaving in and out of the legal system for a long time. And some of the evidence that's coming out, it's just so crazy that he was allowed to just walk about to continue his crimes for like years. Like the evidence in the first case was crazy enough to jail time. It was definitely warranted, but he got to get out of jail free card, literally got out of jail free card. Why is that? Obviously, he has information, pictures, videos, text messages, everything, and he was going to blackmail the crap out of these charges, right? So obviously they knew now he was in really deep waters. Before it was like local jail, like you can make a phone call, you can call up somebody, get him out. Now this has gone to a whole other level where in order to help him, you'd have to expose that affiliation. They couldn't afford that because by now everybody knew what he was, what he was into, and anybody affiliated with him was going to be looked at as side eye. So the best thing to do, obviously, was to get rid of him. I don't think there's anybody with a brain. I don't think there's anybody with a brain that actually believed this guy killed himself because, oh my God, the charges were so horrific. He had already been there before and he already knew what he had in his back pocket. There was no need for him to stress, right? There was no need for him to stress. You look at Ghislaine Maxwell now. Before she was playing it coy, right? Oh, I can't recall that. Now she's saying, if you get me out of jail, I will tell the world you did nothing wrong. How is that even credible? Let's just say that he finessed it and got her out. How does that lend any credibility? It makes it even worse because that means you're willing to incriminate yourself to free this person. So she must have some really, really crazy information, right? We're literally living in a time of Netflix, guys. I say this every single time. We're literally living in a Netflix movie, right? So in the movie, what they do? They got secret files and hidden emails and hard drives full of crap, photos, videos, all of it. You think this guy didn't prepare for all of this? It's already coming out that he like signed away like millions of his dollars and estate and property to some chick, like some lady he was planning to marry, ring and all type of stuff is coming out. This guy was prepared. He had all of his stuff neatly put down for the day when the feds came knocking. Like obviously he is living in a world that's like unhinged. The minute they find out you're done. So he obviously took steps to protect himself. So I mean, this stuff coming out now is just crazy. I watched Pam Bondi's deposition, whatever you want to call it. I watched that whole thing, and everybody kind of walked away from that thinking, "Yep, you're definitely covering up some stuff." Like for you to be willing to obliterate your reputation and your career, girl, she just threw her whole reputation down the toilet when she started attacking these senators and started evading and not answering questions. It became so obvious. If it wasn't obvious before, it's very obvious now that you're covering for these people. And excuse me, it has to be, just think about it. They had all this time with these records and files. They took out what they wanted to take out. I don't care. Nobody can tell me anything other than that. They took out what they wanted to take out. They hand spoon fed the public what they want us to have. So you just have to think how damning this stuff is. You can imagine what they took out, and you can imagine the other 3 million that they're holding back, not releasing. That's like the real deal right there. If the public saw the hidden files, it'll be over with. Like it's like ripping away the veil of the reality that everybody's lived in for all this time and exposing all the evil that people have been screaming about for years, from Hollywood to Washington, D.C. It's just all bad, right? It's just all bad. It's just all bad. People have gotten sucked into a really evil energy. Um, and you can kind of just see it everywhere now. I waited a long time to talk about this. I haven't, gone live about American politics or any of that stuff in a while because I just, even for me, I had to like take a step back. That stuff is like dark. It's like soul sucking. It really can like get to the mental, because it's just so crazy, and it just defies all logic. That if you're a logical, ethical person, if you're somebody who's really aware of rules and laws and all that stuff, you will literally run into a wall head first because it just does not make sense. It don't make sense until it does, right? Until it does, and you're like, ah, okay. So we see what's going on. This stuff is like, I'm just gonna just be as real as I can because this is just my reaction. Excuse me. My throat always gets dry when I go live. Sorry, guys. This is just my personal belief, and then I gotta go. I gotta get a drink of water, and I gotta run. But we're never gonna actually get to the bottom of this stuff. Like the actual names of the people who did the crimes, you're, unless the victims decide that they're willing to face like whatever lawsuits and repercussions and just say, F it, and just start naming people, we are probably never gonna know the full extent of this, and like just how bad it is. And I think that's the scariest part of all the people is that we're never gonna know how deep down the rabbit hole this stuff goes. Like it goes so deep and so far up to the top that is scary. Like listening to Howard Lutnick. Now, I have different feelings about that gentleman because he has a lot to say about Canada, but that's separate. That's separate. We're talking about this guy, you know, in the beginning, how I didn't talk to him. He's like disgusting. I don't, I only went over there once and like I never had anything to do with this human being ever again. fast forward. Yeah, I may have been on a boat with my kids and during vacation. And we went to the island with my wife, but it was like a vacation, and I didn't really see anything wrong with that. I didn't see anything. And you're just like, what? You took your kids? You took your children to this island where children are being raped and molested? You took your children where? That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's like me saying like, you know, I used to be Jeffrey Dahmer's pen pal. Like, what? You took your kids there? Oh my God, that is crazy. Like everybody's reaction when they heard that, it was just like, what? You took your children to that island? You had a house beside this guy? Like he was your neighbor? Man, that's crazy. That right there is crazy. I mean, it just gets more and more crazy. And there were other children there, and there's this and this. Like, stop talking. You're making it worse. Stop talking. Now we are just like now your brain is just like, so these parents, what? So now you start now the conspiracy theories are just gonna just have a freaking field day with this information. Like they're just gonna go off. So you have a parent willingly taking their children to this island. Like, what the heck is going on? So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this whole crazy situation. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein was the plug? I believe he was the plug. I believe that his thing was providing children, underage girls, to these rich men and women. I'm pretty sure there's some women up in there too. Providing them to these predators. The emails and text messages almost sound like when you're on the phone with your plug, trying to get a new pair of shoes that just came out, trying to, you know, get the deal. That's how some of these text messages sound. They were talking about the kids and the age of the girls and all these really lewd things that grown people should not be talking about when it pertains to children. So the little bit of emails and stuff that's already out there is already crazy enough. So I don't even want to think about the stuff that's redacted or the stuff that's not been released or the stuff that will never be released, like have already been scrubbed from the files and removed, all that stuff. um, it's just really, really scary. Let me know what you guys think down below. And I think we will probably revisit this again as more comes out. I'm pretty sure there's a ton more of stuff to come out. So we'll definitely talk about it again. Thank you guys so much for those of you who did take some time to pass through today. We appreciate your time. Stay up and stay blessed, and we will catch up with you guys in another video. Deuces.